Di everyone, something massive is happening down under, and trust me, the whole world is watching. Australia is completely rewriting its digital rulebook, and it's going to affect everything from our social media feeds to our work-life balance. So, let's get into it.
Right, so this is where it all started. With this one sentence, the Prime Minister kicked off what's become one of the most talked about and controversial digital laws on the planet. And it's aimed squarely at what our kids are doing online.
And just to show you they're not messing around, have a look at this number. That's the potential fine for tech companies if they don't play ball. Nearly $50 million for a single mistake. This is not a suggestion, it's a serious, high-stakes demand.
So what is this all really about? Well, it all begins with what's being called Australia's big social ban. And it's a genuine world first, something that's totally changing the game for our youngest generation.
Okay, here are the nuts and bolts of it. The Social Media Minimum Age Act. This isn't just some friendly guideline, it's a hard legal requirement. It basically forces platforms we all use, TikTok, Instagram, to actually verify user ages and block anyone under 16. It's a massive attempt to protect kids from things like cyberbullying and all those intense body image pressures.
And this whole thing happened incredibly fast. Just look at the timeline. It's all part of a much bigger push. The right to disconnect law, which we'll get to, dropped in August 2025. Then, bam! Just a few months later on December 10th, the social media ban kicked in. So now, as we head into 2026, the big question is, what happens next? What are the ripple effects going to be?
The effect? Well, it was instant. In the lead up to the ban, we saw this incredible digital exodus. Almost 1 million Aussie kids were posting goodbye videos and messages to their followers. It was a huge cultural moment. And you can bet countries from Denmark all the way to Malaysia are studying this very closely.
Which naturally brings us to the much bigger global debate. What Australia's done has really sparked this massive conversation about what's the right way to keep young people safe online.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple question. Is it better to build a giant wall around the digital playground, which is kind of what Australia has done with its hard ban, or should we be creating more of a gated system, with rules that change and adapt as a kid gets older?
This slide here just lays out those two competing ideas perfectly. On one side, you've got Australia's hard ban. It's a one-size-fits-all deal for everyone under 16. But then you look at a country like Indonesia, and they use a risk-based system, so younger kids might be limited to educational stuff, but older teens get more freedom with the idea that parents are supervising. These are two just fundamentally different ways of looking at digital safety.
But here's the thing, and it's a big one. Even with the law in place, the technology itself is a massive hurdle. Trials of this age verification tech show it's actually not that great at telling a 15-year-old from a 16-year-old, so the platforms are stuck in this weird guessing game, all while trying to avoid those massive fines.
Okay, but this wave of regulation isn't just about the kids. It's also completely redrawing the boundaries of our work lives with this new right to disconnect.
Honestly, this is a game changer for so many of us. It's now your legal right to just ignore unreasonable work calls and emails when you're not on the clock. It's a direct shot at that burnout culture that has totally blurred the lines between our work lives and our home lives.
And the process for dealing with it is pretty straightforward. First, you can just ignore the contact. No penalty. If it keeps happening, you try to sort it out directly. But if that doesn't work, you can go to the Fair Work Commission, and they have the power to issue an order to make it stop. It's a really clear legal path to protect your personal time.
Now, what's really fascinating is how this whole mindset of regulating things is expanding. It's moving way beyond just social media and work. We're now seeing a push for new rules in really complex areas, from artificial intelligence to huge economic debates like housing. And look, this isn't just an Aussie thing. Take Europe's new AI Act. It's creating this super complex accountability structure, which basically means companies have to be able to explain why their AI did what it did. If some rogue algorithm causes a problem, the fines could literally end the business. It's a global trend, really, putting guardrails on powerful new tech.
So it's this interesting two-sided coin, right? While the government is putting new limits on how we can use some digital tools, it's also embracing them for its own purposes. That encrypted ANOM app, for example, was actually a super sophisticated sting operation they used to crack down on criminal gangs. It just really shows the two sides here, regulation versus application.
And this new way of thinking, of reevaluating rules that have been around forever, is even shaping major economic debates. For instance, there's a big push to let first home buyers pull out up to $50,000 from their superannuation. It's just another example of the government stepping in to change how these big, established systems actually work.
So let's step back for a second.
When you put all these pieces together, the social media ban, the right to disconnect, the new rules for AI, you start to see it's way more than just a few new laws. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about everything.
I think this quote just gets right to the heart of it. The Wild West days of the unregulated internet, yeah, they're pretty much gone. We're now living in an era where governments are absolutely racing to make sure our laws can finally keep up with our technology.
So from banning teens on TikTok to giving you the legal right to ignore your boss after 5 p.m., Australia is really on the front lines of this new digital frontier. It leaves all of us with one huge question. Now that the law is finally catching up to tech, what on earth comes next?